Hey everybody, thanks for checking out another video. So in this video, I wanted to talk about contributing to open source, and also, of course, I needed to involve ChatGPT because it's just like my best bud now for talking about stuff. Half joking there. But anyways, I wanted to kind of try to contribute to open source, and this time also with ChatGPT, I wanted to have a better code example. So the thing we're going to contribute to open source, I kind of already know what I want to do, like the pull request that I want to contribute, and we're going to see what ChatGPT suggests and if we could have figured it out without me knowing what to do ahead of time. So let's just jump right in and check it out. Here's ChatGPT here, and just as an example, I've kind of already got it loaded on my desktop environment in the browser, which is my main project. And the piece that I want to change is just as an example here. Let's open up an app that's an iframe app, and if I hover over here, you'll see that in the preview it's just white at the bottom left there. But if I were to open something like this folder here and I hover over that, you'll get a good preview. So it's able to capture that, but the reason it can't capture this picture here, this piece here, is because that's an iframe. Another example of an iframe app is this IRC one. So if you hover over that, it's also just white. So that's one issue I want to fix with this capturing that makes these little images. It's a library called HTML to image. It's open source, and I've actually fixed it. So it's actually fixed on my live website, and I'm currently just showing the broken version, which is actually the version that's on their open source repository. And we're just going to apply we may apply the fix unless ChatGPT suggests something better. But I want to kind of go through explaining, here's the issue, how can you fix it? And the iframe is only one part of it. The other piece to it is that there's also a video element. So let's say if I open up one of these videos here and I hover over that, it's also just kind of a gray, like it's showing the gradient there from the video player. Same with this one here. If I hover over it, you see there's no video preview. So that's because of the video element, and the other one's the iframe element. And the way that HTML to image library works is depending on the different element, there's different ways to kind of clone it, copy it, and make it into a picture. And I was able to figure out how to do it. It wasn't super hard, and one of the reasons why it wasn't so hard, if we go to the repository for it here, HTML to image, and if we actually just search and the issues for open and closed ones with video, you'll see that the latest video one is actually me, a post I did in August, where I said like, hey, the video doesn't work. And there were actually two posts prior where they basically had the same issue, and they'd kind of discussed it, and they actually kind of had some suggested fixes. And there was also a mention of a dev article where someone had also kind of fixed it, basically by taking the canvas and passing the video element directly into the canvas. Essentially, was all that was necessary. And yeah, here's another one here. And then this one, the person actually, I believe, fixed it with basically the same kind of fix we're going to use. So I'm basically just using what was already here, but nobody ever made a PR for it. They kind of just suggested it. So we're going to go ahead. Or if they did, it didn't get put through. So I'm going to try to open up a new PR, hopefully. So that's for the video one. And it's actually the same story for the iframe one here. If you search for iframe, I think there's like 3 or 4. Iframe captures blank. Issues with iframe appearing black, white, whatever it happens to be. It basically wasn't appearing. So there was like 3 issues for both of them logged, for video and iframe. And the fixes are pretty simple enough. So if we actually just look at the code here, if I were to just naively go to the repository, go to search, and the first thing I search is just type video, you're basically going to get a result that it has this function here, clone video element. So if I were to ask ChatGPT some questions, I might want to give it that. But let's just try to go in completely blind, and let's start talking to ChatGPT about this. And I prepared one sentence here. Let me just paste it in. So the thing I wanted to tell it, I've got a problem with the dependency in my project. It's a library that takes images of the DOM. Oh wait, I didn't spell when correctly. When capturing videos or iframes, it produces blank results. So you could even argue that this is a little more verbose than necessary. Like I'm telling it more than like it's about the DOM, it's about this. I'm giving it a lot of stuff, so I'm giving it more help than some people might do it. You could just go in and say, hey, I have a problem with my project, and back and forth a bit more, but we're going to start it with this and see where it gets us. It sounds like you may be experiencing a known issue with the library you're using. Well, that's true, actually. How do you know? I was just talking about the fact that it was known. That's funny, though. This is another interesting point, is that it has a big knowledge base, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't know about like this exact library, the issues that have been posted. It'd be cool if it does. In the future, I hope it will, or that you can kind of just load tons of information into it and then have it make a conclusion. But for now, I don't think it works that way. I've seen it more of a generalized knowledge. So we're going to, by using its general knowledge, try to suss out some answers. What does it say here? You may also want to check if there's any updates or patches. Hey, we're going to make a patch. Let's see this. Let's try this. I'd like to make a patch as none exists. Let's fix the video element first. What could the issue be? The code is for the... I shouldn't have to say the code's for the browser. I've already said DOM, so it knows it's a document object model, which is in the browser. So let's just go from there. Without more information about the specific library using, okay, well, maybe I should say. But let's see, the library may not be handling video elements correctly, potentially because it doesn't have the necessary code to process and capture them. That's actually kind of true. The issue with the code, by the way, if we were to go to the code and look at it here and look at clone video element, you see here it's basically been coded to just try to take like the poster image. So video elements can have this poster image. It's kind of the generic image. It's not the live frames that are going, and it's for that reason alone, I don't think it's a very ideal way to have coded this, and this almost should have been the fallback. And my PR isn't going to have a fallback, so I'm happy to do some back and forth if I ever do get any responses to the PR. Hopefully that's the case. But let's see what else ChatGPT suggests. The library may be encountering errors when trying to capture. So it's basically this one. It's not capturing the element correctly. If we were to... Like, the thing is, if we had a video element that had a poster, then we would probably see the poster, and we could report that, well, we see the poster image. But let's say that we don't know that. At this point, all we know is it's blank. But let's say that we're coders, so we do know enough to know that, hey, there's this function here. Let's say I don't know anything about this, but I searched video, and this is the first function. I know what functions are. Let's copy this and just see if it understands based on that. Here is the code for cloning the video element. And what I'm going to do here too is I'm not going to say that, like, here's the broken code or help me find this. It's just like I'm giving it more information. Well, here's the code. So if we're having a conversation, it should know what the next step is. Based on the code you provided, it looks like the clone video element function is intended to create a clone of a given the element by creating a data URL from its poster. So it was able to clarify there, like, it's clear enough mostly from the code if you're a coder, but if you're not, it's kind of said in plain English here. It's getting a picture of the poster. It's not getting a picture of the video frame. Actually, did it say that? However, without more information about the specific issue you're experiencing, one potential issue with the code is that it may not be handling cases where there is no poster attribute. That's actually what's happening now, which is why it's blank. So I guess we could go from here and say, well, I don't even want a poster attribute. So they've added some code here to say if there's no poster, then this case could be handled. Maybe I could just say in the no poster case, we want to take a frame of the video. But I would say in general, I want to take a frame of the video. Oh, I wonder if it answered that. Another potential issue with the code is that it may not be handling cases where resource to data URL function returns an error. That part's true. It's not the issue, though, so I'm going to ignore that piece. And what I'm going to tell it now is that I don't want just the poster image. I want the video frame. Current video frame. So if I'm more clear with it, maybe it'll be like, okay, then just scrap the poster code. What you actually need is, and then just give me the code I want. And actually, I've tried this before talking to it about this. I hadn't given it the code last time, but interestingly enough, the last time I did this and basically asked the same question, it suggested a completely different API. And this is where I thought, oh, this is cool for coding, because it suggested an API that I didn't even know about, involving like a media stream and using image capture. And it took me down an interesting rabbit hole where I had to realize that the question I actually cared about, based on the way HTML image works, is that it's not just that I needed a way to capture the video element. It needs to be turned into a data URL, because that's the next step for HTML to image. And once I told it that, then it said, okay, you know what? The API suggested won't work. You have to go back to Canvas, basically. And we'll see if it's suggested something like that here. What has it gone with? Has it decided to give up on poster at least? Let's see what it said. If you want to capture the current frame, rather than its poster image, you'll need to update the clone video element function to use the current source attribute. That doesn't sound accurate. Current source is like the URL. So the URL of the video is not going to give me its frame. Let me tell it that, because that just sounds wrong. The source is the URL for the video. I want to capture an actual frame from the video. I wonder if it can have like an aha moment with that. If you want to capture an actual frame rather than the URL of the video. Duh. Oh, here we go. Here's where it starts talking about media stream. And I was like, I didn't even know about media stream. This is where I went down the rabbit hole of trying to use media stream. It's not perfectly supported by the browsers, first of all, which we could call it out on here in a minute. But even then, it just had a lot of issues. I mean, let's see what it's doing here. It's actually going a little further than last time. Create image bitmap frame. Yeah, that's a little closer to what I want. It has create image bitmap, I believe, is actually another API function. It was a bit of a rabbit hole of web APIs that I hadn't even heard of that this thing suggested, which was kind of fun. So let's say here, I need the end result of the captured frame to be a data URL. Now let's see if it says, okay, now you're going to need the canvas then. If you want the end result of the captured frame to be a data URL, you need to use the create image bitmap function to capture a frame as before, but then convert the image bitmap to a data URL with two data URL. Okay. Can you do two data URL with an image bitmap? That's interesting. I didn't know that if you could. It looks like it thinks you can. So again, this is like an interesting thing where I could go down this rabbit hole. I'm going to try to do my coding approach for now because I kind of want to. I don't want to dismiss it offhand. But I've tried a little bit of this and I had trouble with it. Maybe what we'll do is we're going to ask it to suggest the other way. Let's say I don't want to use the media, or let's first ask it about browser support then, because that's one of the reasons why I don't want to use it. What about browser support for media stream and image bitmap? And you could also do the website can I use. This is where I taught where you think about it replacing Google. In the past, I would go to Google or I would go to caniuse.com because I know about it, and I would search for that specific thing, look at a chart, figure it out myself, essentially, with a little bit of help for Google to kind of put the links in front of my face. But whereas with ChatGPT, I'm basically just discussing it. I mean, I could say, hey, I don't have to tell ChatGPT, hey, can you go to Can I Use, and can you look at the browser support and tell me about the ones that I care about, which are the ones in red? I don't need it to say that. It can just kind of tell me stuff, possibly. Let's see what it said. The media stream and image bitmap APIs are supported by most modern browsers, including etc. Yeah. However, there may be some older or less commonly used browsers that do not support these APIs. In which case it wouldn't work. Yeah. Okay. So let's say if we want us to support older browsers, I think we would want to use the canvas draw image approach. I wonder if it's going to suggest that. It doesn't seem to have, but let's say I want to use the canvas draw image approach. To say this is to kind of know this approach. I kind of wanted to go down the train. So let's say that we want to maintain older browser support, which actually isn't true, but I want to see if it will make it suggest something that is using less of this modern API. And one interesting thing about this part of it, the API, is that it has all this knowledge from wherever the specs are and stuff. But that doesn't mean that it necessarily knows how the browser applied the spec. So it might say, oh yeah, of course Chrome can do this. But then you actually try to do it and it doesn't work that way. And it doesn't know that because it didn't try to do it. It just read the document and said, like, this is gospel, basically. So I still didn't... if you want to maintain support for older browsers, you'll need to add a fallback behavior. One possible approach to providing fallback behavior is to use Canvas. Okay. And then draw the video to a canvas. So that's what I was saying. That's what I kind of wanted. And that's what we've got here. So now we've even got a function with the modern version and the fallback version, which is pretty cool, actually. It's more than I wanted, and I'm just going to focus on this version for now. And basically the code that I want is basically just like that. Very similar. And on that note, we can even take a peek at it here, because it's simple enough. So yeah, so it spit out all that stuff. I think we've kind of got the result we want. So we got the code. The next thing, I guess, would be do we want ChatGPT to explain to us how to contribute to open source? Maybe. So let's say I like this solution. How can I get this fix into the library? And then I guess it would have to explain the process, assuming that it understands. I mean, I never told it the repo, so it might not know about GitHub. But it still seems to have guessed that most likely it's GitHub. So you get your fix into the library, you'll need to submit a pull request to the library. Okay. So I think we should just do that. Make sure I'm on GitHub. Yeah, I'm going to fork the repo. This is what it's saying here, number 7, basically. Or where's the one where we fork is number 4. So let's just jump right to 4. But it's basically told us what to do here. And I should show another point here. Let's say we want to do number 4. We can just ask it that. We don't even have to say number 4. Number 4 is the one where it's talking about clone the fork. So let's just say, how do I clone the fork? Wait, how do I clone? Wait, no. I want to know how to fork the repo in the first place. How do I fork the repo? Because I want to see if it can just build on it. I already know how to do this. To fork the repo. So now it's got like steps upon steps, basically. Yeah, it even tells very specifically the fork button. Whereas before it was just saying, fork the repo. And you can kind of go down that rabbit hole for any time where you're not really sure. And it just teaches you basically how to do it. And these steps, I'm pretty sure, are pretty close to accurate. I mean, this isn't hard to get right. And most of this is just absolutely right. So let's just do what it's saying, assuming we're reading it. But I'm just going to assume it's saying it correctly, and I'm going to do it. So we're going to go to the repository that we want. We press the fork button here that's partially covered by my video. We're going to fork it to my account here, to my owner, whatever you call that. Let's create the fork. Okay, so we've got it's forking. Takes a second, I guess. Well, fork away. Give me a moment to drink my last of my energy drink. Keep me going for those late night conversations with ChatGPT. So we forked it. This is our fork. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to copy this piece here, which is pretty much the stuff it was saying when it was telling me to clone it. And now we're going to go over to the code, to an empty session of VS Code, and we're going to do git clone, paste it in, which is exactly what it said. Look, username repo. That is verbatim its suggestion here. Username, repository name. So that was great. So we've cloned it. We're gonna check it out. Some of this stuff, I mean, if you know nothing about code, you literally could go step by step. Like, okay, I cloned it. What's the next step? You ask it, and it seems like it'll just keep answering the questions happily in detail. That's what I've seen. But I know a little bit of it. So I've cloned it. Then you change into that directory. You run npm I or npm install to get all of its dependencies. And then at that point, with this specific repository, there's a command called build umd. And that's the one that I care about for making the file that I'm currently using, because I actually don't directly use that dependency from the repository because of the fact that it has these problems. I've been building my own. And we're going to do it here together as an example. So now that I've got it cloned and copied, I'm just going to switch to that folder like so. Open up the terminal again. And we can go into here, npm scripts, and you can actually see the scripts they have, build umd being the one that I care about. And let's just go right to running that. And we should see here in the dist folder will appear. And that'll have the file that we care about. So it creates that file for us. So this is a way you can edit source code basically for libraries. And then you can there's lots of different ways that you can get them into your code. I have my own method where I build these UMD ones, but it can be done a bunch of different ways. But ideally, if you've got fixes, if you've got changes that are good, contribute them. And that's what we're going about right now. So we did a build there. Cool, it's built. I copied it. We'll do a quick, we can do a quick test, but I already did the test. So we've already seen it in action. We saw the problems it has, such as the iframe problem here. So let's go to fixing it now. If we go over to the clone node, we can see that clone video element here where it's all about the poster. Now we could take ChatGPT's fix. I hesitate to. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to take my fix and paste it in here. And then we're going to look at the difference file here in VS Code so we can see that it's quite similar. So if you see here, mine, we set the we get the 2D context. We do a lot of stuff here. We create the canvas. We get the 2D context, we set the width and height, we draw the image of the video, and then we send it as a data URL. Great. If you look at what ChatGPT had suggested, what we got to purely through discussion of the issue, we basically got there. And I don't think I really had to jump ahead with it for it to get there. And it's almost the same thing. Create the element. It does it a slightly different way. And I can't remember why I've done it the way I've done it, but we're just going to accept the way I've done it for now because it works, and I don't want to do a bunch of testing in the video. But basically it's doing the exact same thing here, although this get image data is slightly different. perhaps superfluous step. I'm not sure. Image data. What does it do with image data here? Capture the image data from the canvas and then just throw it away? I mean, this is the part where with ChatGPT, just like how you can get it to create blog posts or whatever you can get it to do, there's going to be tweaking. I mean, maybe when we're at GPT 4 or 5, it's just going to give you the perfect clean code every time, and you're never going to have to change a thing. And at that point, you could probably just walk away from the keyboard. But until then, we're going to do some tweaking, and this is the kind of tweaking that I've decided with it. Another piece that we need to add is in the cloning node function itself here, there's the clone video element. We no longer need options. It basically was useless to us. And in that case, we don't need it here as well, but I hesitate to get rid of it completely. But yeah, we're not really using it. I think we actually use this in the iframe part. So let's do the two steps at once, basically. So we got rid of it from there, and then in clone single node, yeah, actually we don't need the options. I see in my code here, we basically got rid of options. It was only being passed to the video, no longer needed. So that's the first basic change. Now we've got the video element fixed, and don't take my word for it. Let's do a build. So we run the build UMD. It'll once again make the file. Or did it? Did it already come up with an error? What happened here? Oh, now it's very strict, this one. So it's complaining that we no longer need these two functions. So get rid of the imports. I mean, that's fair. Okay. So now we've cleaned that piece up. That was the missing step. Hopefully the build will work now. And that's something whenever you clone a project, you have to kind of figure out their rules, their linting stuff, and whatever they happen to have. Okay, so I've cloned it. I've copied it over. We refresh this. So let's see if the video's fixed now. So now when we open a video and we hover over to get a picture of it, no, it's not fixed. What happened? I think that the build worked, but then what happened? Yeah, interesting. So the dev is still running. Oh, I know what it might be here. Because I don't have DevTools open, it was probably using a cached version. So I opened DevTools, cleared the cache. That's always another thing that you have to watch out for. Assuming I'm correct with this assumption, but let's check it out. No, video is still not working. What happened here? Okay. So this is where we can go back and see what I've not done correctly here. This part seems sensible enough. This is the code that I had before. We got rid of the options. We clone the node. Those are most of the pieces of the command that I had, actually. Let's try to do one more build, because I question whether my build worked properly, actually. And on that note, I'm actually going to delete the dist folder file here. So if we go back into dist, you see it's been deleted. Heck, I'm going to delete the whole folder. And now we're going to do the build again, because sometimes that can help where you think you built it and you actually didn't. And when you get rid of the dist folder, you go, okay, that's a fresh file. Okay, so here's a fresh file. Now I'm overwriting it. I think I might have even done the copy in the wrong direction. That happens sometimes too, where you build it and then you just overwrite it with the thing that you wanted. So let's clear the cache. And now I feel like we got better luck here. Let's see, moment of truth on the video. No. Okay, let's try this other video, because this actually was working before. Interesting, interesting. So it's like more broken than before, or am I just not testing it correctly? Let's keep DevTools open here, because it's possible. I don't know if the cache is really just like the strongest cache in the world, or what's going on. Let's try again here. No, definitely not related to cache, unfortunately. Let's dive in one more time, because I definitely had this fixed. I actually have it open in two different places, so we can compare and see. But what could be wrong with it? I wonder, that's very odd. Let's move on to the iframe piece too, actually, because the iframe one is simple enough, and it's kind of interesting one. Again, it's one of those ones that was fixed through other people suggesting fixes as well. So there's basically the iframe fix. Clone iframe element. Once we establish it's an iframe, that's another piece we need here. In the same place that we have the video one, we'll just add a check for an iframe element. So if it's the iframe element, we run the clone iframe element function, like so. Oh, it automatically added these here. Let me just fix all of its little ESLint complaints. So all that it's really doing is it basically, it can't clone the iframe element unless it's on the same domain. So if you have access to the content document body, that means essentially it's on the same domain, and then it can clone it. And instead of passing the iframe element, you want to pass the content document body. So that was the only other little tweak that was needed there. And now we got the iframe piece. So let's see if we can at least fix the iframe piece before we figure out why that darn video wasn't working. Because I'm pretty sure I was copying it to the right place, but we're not really getting the result I was expecting. Let's see here now. So if we go back to the browser, now when we open up an iframe, there we go. So now we have the iframe text. That's a step forward. Maybe the videos want to smarten up while they're at it too. No luck on the video. That's an odd one. So when it comes to the video not working, that one is harder to figure out. I wonder if we already asked ChatGPT this. Let's use ChatGPT's code. Let's do it. Let's see if ChatGPT's code is in any way more equitable. Can't imagine it is. I mean, what was it doing with image data? We never figured that out. Let's, if anything, the canvas should be made like this. I don't know why it was being made with video.owner document. I'm not sure if that got changed at some point. That just doesn't seem correct. Let's open up the other repository version I had as well. I'm just going to open up a secondary window here because I had it written a different way before that worked a heck of a lot better. And now I'm having trouble finding it. And it's quite the mystery. Because, yeah, it actually was exactly the same looking. That's wild. What's different then here? The clone the node. Am I not passing the node? Let's see here. If we look at the clone node, we're definitely passing the node. Oh, it's the conditional. Simple enough. So there's another piece to this condition that I missed and I didn't copy it. But there's node.poster here. So we solved that, I think. That was the only other piece there. So here's what we want to PR in. Ugh. It's a good thing we were able to fix that. And that's those things where I wonder if what would have been required for ChatGPT to get there. Probably I would have had to copy the code that I was changing for it to see that. And that's one of those cool rubber duck type things where it might have seen that and I was just not catching it. But we got that part. So now let's do one more test. And I think we're going to have a bit better luck with the video now. I got a good feeling about it. Because now we've actually fixed the file. Now when we open the video, there we go. Now we actually have the video capture. That is much more like the way that I wanted that. Same with this one. There we go. And we have the iframe capture as well. Yep, there's an iframe, or if we go to IRC. The styling's not all there. It's not perfect yet. But it's a step in the right direction, and I think it's enough of a step for us to make this into the PR. So, going back to the code, fixing that little condition, we look at what we changed here. We didn't change too much, but we've added the iframe cloning. We fixed the video frame cloning. Let me just fix these little ESLint issues. The ESLint rules for this repository don't like semicolons, which is kind of the opposite of how I have it normally. But yeah, I think we're good for that. We're not going to worry about the package lock files or any of that stuff. So we're just going to focus on clone node here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make a branch. To do that in VS Code, I just click at the bottom left under master here. I do create new branch, and I'm going to call this video-iframe-fixes, I guess. Yeah. So we've got a name for it. Now I've staged that one little change here by pressing the plus symbol. So that's the change that's going to be part of this commit. I'm going to say fixed video clone, or I'm going to say use frames for video capture and add iframe capture. There we go. That fits in the amount of commit message. So we'll type that commit there and throw it out. It's going to commit this change and we're going to push it to our repository. And we're going to see, did ChatGPT basically say for us to do that? Commit your change and push it to your forked repository, go to the original, and create a pull request. So let's do that. First, we need to finish the push. Oh, I didn't actually read that. I'm sorry. Let me jump to where I was reading that here. Here's where it was saying that there. So we'll just do that. So let's jump over here. So it actually complained about the commit, which probably means it has a bit of a linting issue. I'm not seeing it jump out at me here. So what we'll do is we'll quickly run the linting tools that it has, hopefully with good results. It actually didn't have any problems. So what was the problem that it had when it wouldn't build? I wonder. Let's try to build one more time. Or sorry, let's try to commit one more time. And when the commit fails, we can kind of look at the log and see, because it's possible I've missed the most minor of linting issues, but it's not something I'm seeing. So open git log. What was the problem here? Found 2 problems, hey? So I've created some problems. Not always good. Oh, it has, wait, subject may not be empty. It looks like they have some rules here for how you can commit the messages. Type may not be empty. What does that mean? Conventional changelog. Interesting. So we're learning how to contribute to open source here. I got a message here from it. Let me open this up, this link it gave me here. What is commit lint? Oh, okay, so that's the way that they do it? Type, wow. Why don't we look at some of the commits they've done, if that's the way they like to roll? Chore, fix, chore, okay, so I need to say it's a chore, so I'll say fix, I guess, and see where that gets us in the commit message. Let's say fix, and then I'll say use frames for video capture and add iframe support. Iframes. I'll just say add iframes. Let's see if that gets through. Was it just, I feel like it wasn't just fix that was the problem, but maybe fix is the type and the subject. Looks like it wasn't. Now what's the issue? This is part of the fun of contributing to open source. This is their rule. Subject must not be a sentence case. Start case, Pascal case, uppercase. What? Oh, wow. It has it's complaining about the U being uppercase, I think. So they make it hard for you to even want to commit a little bit. It's like, come on, it's just a commit message. You can change it when you merge if you want. Okay, so we pushed it in here. We finally got that through. Those were some tough rules they had us going with. So now we go to the main repository, and we see here that it shows up my pull request, so I can do a compare and pull request. And great. So we're at the step here where we can now see our pull request. That's pretty nice. We can preview here. It looks like they have a whole description of stuff that I'm presumably having to follow. Provide a general summary for the changes in the title above. Okay. We're going to have ChatGPT do this. Oh, yeah. So we paste that, and we'll paste the title that was above. What was the title again? The title above was this. So yeah, let's just see if it does that. To fix the issues with capturing videos and iframes, you can, oh, no. It still thinks I'm, oh, okay, so ChatGPT is having a little bit of a tiff here. But at the same time, I kind of just jumped topics on it, I suppose, and I've kind of pasted someone else's wording in, and is doing the best with what it can. Obviously, a real conversation wouldn't go this way, but it's decided to continue the coding conversation instead of trying to give me a description. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have it not do that. We're going to say, we're going to have it change topics here, but let's have it write this. Okay, the code is good. I am writing my PR. Can you give me a description for the PR, assuming I've fixed the video and iframe capturing? All right, so let's just focus on a description. Enough with the code. Here's a possible description for my pull request. Oh, wow, it even did the fixes piece there. Well, I'm not going to focus on what issues it fixed. Pull request. No, don't go talking about your code again. Dude, he's too proud about his code. This pull request additions, let's just get this piece and see how this goes and let it finish its conversation over there. So this pull request addresses the issues with capturing video and iframes in the library where the resulting images were blank or incorrect. Okay, that's perfect. That part's darn right. What else did it do here? I've also added error handling. No, I didn't. Please review and let me know. Okay, cool. So that's not bad. I'll even just take this little description. Describe your changes in detail. Okay. Oh, man. Describe the changes as if the function only did... Oh, man. Describe all my changes? Like, I don't even want to. Okay. Describe the changes, assuming I fixed iframe by using content document dot body, and I fixed video by using canvas draw image. So assuming those are the fixes, because that is what I did, just write me the details of it. So it's gonna write the details. I'm gonna see what other hoops this thing wants me to jump through. Motivation. Why is this change required? If it fixes an issue, please link the issue. Okay, at this point we're gonna link those issues because I actually have bookmarks to them. Or not bookmarks. I just have them linked here. So let's just say here. This is related to these issues. Video capture, iframe capture. Okay. So we made that simple. Oh man, there's so many details here. It's type, I guess it's a bug fix and it's a new feature. I mean, it's not a breaking change. I'd call it an enhancement too, sure. While we're at it. Refactoring? Debatable. Code style optimization? Nah. Self-check before merge. Go over all the following points and put X's. Yeah, I did. I did, dude. My code follows the coding style, to my understanding. My change requires a change to the documentation. I don't think so. I've updated the documentation. I've read the... Okay. So, I mean, on video, I kind of am admitting I haven't done all these things, but do you want my code or not? Is kind of what I'm feeling at a certain point. This is part of contributing to open source where it's like, how many hurdles do you want me to go through before I can help you? So let's just hope I've gone through enough hurdles here. Let's take whatever description it wrote. This pull request addresses the issues with capturing video. To fix the issue with clone video element. Okay, I guess that's the gist of it. Let's just copy this verbatim and see where this gets us. You know, maybe they won't watch the video, or if they do watch the video, they'll be proud of this. So there we go. Get rid of that part. That's from the start. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, okay. I'm not 100% perfect with this, but I'm going to write a little note here. ChatGPT helped me. Just a little note there. Where does that go in there? Oh, yeah, ChatGPT helped me. Okay, cool. Well, I've definitely written a lot of stuff. ChatGPT's helped there. I think we're ready to post our commit. Actually, we looked at the diffs. Yeah, the diff looks good. The diff looks how I expected. I think we're ready. I think ChatGPT's done enough. Actually, you know, let's take this and see what ChatGPT thinks of it. I've written the PR. They had a lot of boilerplate to follow. Can you see if I did okay? Do you think they're going to understand that? Who knows? Based on the information provided, it looks like you've done a good job in writing the pull request. Thank you. You provided a clear and concise description of the changes you made. Explain the motivation. All right. You've also answered the questions in the boilerplate. Overall, it appears that you provided all necessary information. I like that. Okay. Maybe we'll ask it its opinion just for a minute here and see what it thinks about all this. It's a good idea to review the pull request guidelines and best practices. Whatever, dude. Okay. So you think this will get approved? I have a feeling it's going to say it has no opinion one way or the other. Whether your pull request will be approved or not will depend on the quality of your changes and how well they address the issues. No, it also depends on if the person ever looks at it, which may never happen. I got a lot of PRs like that. It'll also depend on the library. Oh, it actually says that. Man, I can't catch this thing wrong. Therefore, the best course of action would be to submit your pull request and wait for the maintainers to review it. Okay, that's enough for me. Create pull request. Denied. Okay, so I've created the pull request. We've made the code. We've confirmed that ChatGPT agreed with this method for the older browser support. We never discussed this iframe approach, I guess, for it. It probably could have done okay. I don't think we needed to, honestly. I think it would have got it. So let's just say it got that. So yeah, that was about it, I guess. I mean, we've created the PR. I don't want to hammer a dead horse on that. I think ChatGPT's helped a lot, as you've seen here. I'm sorry that we had a few bumps along the road as we got the code, but now we've got the PR. We've seen what it's like to contribute to open source, and we've gotten ChatGPT to help us along the way. So if you like this video, please throw me a like, and please subscribe to keep motivating me and supporting me, and keep these videos coming. So thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye.